Hello and welcome to another edition of Pop and Scott Talk Baseball. How you going? How's it going today, Dad?
Oh
Feeling
well,
under the weather or being better, huh?
man, it's been a week where your stepmother and I had the intestinal virus all week, so we're doing fine now. It's just when you're old like this, it takes you a little while to snap back. But everything's fine. I went to church Friday night with kids today, so I'm fine.
Right, right. Well, that's good to hear that everybody's feeling better and getting back to normal, some normalcy. Uh, I believe, at least all pitchers and catchers now have reported to camp.
Yeah.
It seems like most players, it seems more and more I'm reading, has shown up to camp. I know by the midweek, all players should be. I know that the first year draftees and signees are supposed to be at camp as well. But I seems like a lot of players have been there for about a week already. It seems like I brought up last week. I brought it up in one of my other shows. Seems like a little eagerness this year by the players to get started. I don't know. I know last year was exciting and all and was fun to watch because as much as I hate to admit the extra playoff spots added to the season, uh, it just seems like everybody's a little bit more eager to go this year.
Well, I think the players are eager to go because they set attendance record last year at the ballparks. I mean, in the history of the sport,
Mm-hmm.
they set attendance record. So the TV ratings in the local localities were up. Everything was up.
Mm-hmm.
Slow, speeding the game up. Speeding the game up was very popular with the fans. And I mean, if people come out to watch you and they're cheering for you, the players want to play. I mean,
And, and and having movement on the base pads with more steals, it puts excitement to it. Um, the first half of the year it was more balls in play, and then it kind of reverted back to the old style of baseball in the second half, or not old style, the style that's been popular here in recent years, I should say. Um, but I just think that this year it just seems like I'm really as a fan eager to get started.
well, I watched baseball Friday some, and yet last night some. I watched the colleges out in
Yeah,
Arizona. Last night
yeah.
I watched Grand Canyon State play Southern Cal, and
I haven't looked. I know Virginia started this weekend as well. UVA did.
yeah, they're playing I think Hofstra, but um, yeah, I watched them in Grand Canyon. They've got some players, and the problem with Grand Canyon is they're in a small, they're in a lower rank level of play, but the team is so good that the big teams don't want to schedule them. They don't want to play them because
Right.
they're afraid they'll hurt their record. Same thing happens in a lot of sports when these
Was
small.
that the team that's coached by an ex major leaguer and his son? I think. I'm
Uh,
trying to remember off the
the
top of my head.
coach that was there for 20 years or something left there and went to Southern Cal. And the coach, his assistant coach that he had for the last 10 years or something, took over the team.
Okay.
And they were talking, they showed them talking before the game last night. Of course, they're real close friends.
Right.
And there's another oddity here. It's kind of cute. I mean, it's here again. You and I watch college baseball because we like it, and but a lot of people they just watch the majors. But anyway, Southern Cal for the next 2 years won't play a home game because they're redoing all of their the physical part of their sports facilities
Mm.
at the school. So all their practice field, everything, the practice fields they still have, but their home field is being torn down and redone. So they're going to play their home games at different school colleges in the area. The different colleges in the area are going to allow them to use their field to play their
Yeah.
home.
I know. You know, UCLA is not too far from them. Pepperdine is not too far from them.
And they've got
small
they showed,
schools. A lot of small schools there have nice fields.
yeah, they showed a couple of junior colleges.
Yeah, that's
And
what I'm
then
talking.
they see 7,000-8,000 people or something ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah. How California is one of the few schools, if you still live in state, going to in-state colleges, starting with junior colleges, they really help the students
financially.
there. Yeah, if you're in state, and you're better off starting at JUCO and then moving up to one of the.
And last night, they also said that Southern California is the leader in the College World Series championships. They have more championships than anybody else.
Well, when you start looking at some of their great players, I mean, geez,
the sport changed. It was a West Coast primarily.
Arizona are probably the two best.
Yeah, we had Arizona State, Oregon, and UCLA and USC, and they won a lot of championships. And then more and more kids started playing in the South and the East. And now that they were talking about last night, now the two predominant conferences are the Atlantic Coast Conference and the Southeastern Conference. Yeah. The Southeastern Conference has won 5 out of the last 6 championships. And the only one in there was
Vanderbilt's the main reason. But
Vanderbilt.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking last week, Virginia, their Wednesday schedules is very tough because they're playing a lot of in-state schools at different conferences. But man, that state is such rich baseball now, and it's like that where I'm at here now down in Carolina. You can go watch high school games, and you can see a lot of good talent, and the colleges here are loaded. I mean, I live in the same town, Wake Forest, and they're ranked number 1 preseason. So that's this area, and I mean, it's not just this area, but baseball in the country has really become a year-round sport, just like any other sport, and the talent is just so much better at a younger age. Rich talent. I just wish more kids would pitch instead of play shortstop. But they know that's the tougher way to go. But that's just the way it is.
One of the easiest ways to get to the majors or actually get a good shot is to be a catcher.
Yeah, and that's trending. Well, you see that because you see a lot of international players coming in being catchers. But again, a lot of them are shortstops that got transferred to catching at an early age.
Mm-hmm. It's a tough position.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's called the tools of ignorance. I loved it. I mean, when I played, that's where I wanted to be. You're the field general. You see everything. You're the only player that sees everything in front of you.
And that's why a lot of managers come from the catching ranks.
Right. And you have to really know what's going on, every situation that's on every pitch, what's going on. But I digress. So have you got any news for us this week? I know you've been feeling bad.
Well, we got no. It's the Dodgers and the Padres will be in Seoul, Korea on the 20th and the 21st of March to play. Now I saw this.
Are they playing in 2 different stadiums? Did I read that right? Or are they playing?
I think they are, but no. But see, here's where I got confused.
Mm-hmm.
See, everything I've seen so far is they're playing the preseason games on the 20th and 21st of March.
No, they're real games.
But they are real games.
Yeah,
the first articles I saw and everything, they said that they were going to be on the 21st and the 20th and the 21st of March, and they were a Wednesday and a Thursday, and they were going to be spring training games. But then I saw on MLB where it's going to be the 20th and the 21st, or the 27th and 28th. They haven't made up their mind, I guess. It's the 20th
a
or
week.
21st, and they're
The
playing in
regular
Salt Lake City.
seasons, the regular season is the 28th for everyone, and then they're playing a week before 2 games,
so they can come home.
right? And what they're doing is playing 2 games, so it's each team. It takes away one of their home games for each team.
Right, and I think they are playing in 2 different stadiums, and the games are already sold out.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, the only thing better would have been to have the Giants playing in it, because the Giants signed one of their better players in the offseason from the Korean League. KBO, I think is what it's called.
Right. Korean Baseball Organization.
Yeah. And it's huge there. I mean, Topps makes cards for that league, and it's going to be, if you're a fan and you haven't watched international baseball before, it's going to be loud all the time. They're unless they're not into it, but most of the time it is loud. They have cheerleaders at KBO games, so I don't know if they're going to do it for the MLB games.
Don't the San Diego Padres have a Korean player?
Yes. Well, they traded. I think he was in the Soto trade, if I'm not mistaken, the second baseman, Kim. And then today I just read that this weekend the Mets signed Choi, who used to be with the Pirates and the Padres, is now signed to a minor league invitation with a chance of making the major league roster, where he can make $3.5 million.
Right, there's quite a few. There was quite a few of those signings.
Yeah,
but none of the major guys yet.
Yeah, so I don't think they have a Korean player, but I'm waiting to see. So here's the underlying issue: the Dodgers have 2 Japanese players. Historically, Korea and Japan do not get along.
No, they used to fight wars.
Yes, Japan took them over twice historically, and so I'm kind of see how they are accepted there for the game. So that's my only one outlying thing, and I'm hoping. I hope they play, because it's a weird time from us. If they play a night game, I think it's early in the morning. And if they play an afternoon game, it's like just a late night game. So I'm trying to figure. I don't know what time they're going to play the games, because I would like to watch it. Just curiosity, because I want to see how. I know how fans are. I watched some KBO during COVID, and the fans, they don't sell out every game, but they're just loud the whole time. They got the things beating them and cheerleaders, and it's just chants. Every player has their own chants, kind of like the New York Yankees, with every player has a chant. And it's exciting to watch. You just get kind of caught up. It's loud watching on TV. So it was kind of like the WBC when Mexico and who else was playing in Arizona? Was it United States? And it was just loud the whole time. That's why I know that stadium can be loud, but when the Diamondbacks plays, it sounds like they're playing in a dead forest. Just nothing going on. But I'm excited for those games to see. I'm also excited to see what you were talking about, that week-long minor league situation where they put their best players on that one roster in the minor leagues, kind of a showcase. I've talked about that before.
Yeah, we talked about that last night too.
Yeah, I really, and I guess that's going to be this week or next week, because I know the preseason starts the end of next week, preseason games.
I think it's in March.
That tournament, or not? It's not a tournament. It's just a showcase.
No, it's a showcase, and I don't know how they're going to play it round robin or what, but they.
No, it's just what I saw. I looked it up. Every team plays one game, but since there's an odd number in Arizona and Florida, one team has to play twice, I think, for everybody to play. And
They
they're going to play
have
like a split
the
squad.
the first game is
But I think preseason starts the end of next week.
all right. The
Great
first game in that little whatever it is showcase, the first game they're putting Baltimore against Pittsburgh. So they're going to have this the Skeens kid, the number one pick last year, will be on the Pittsburgh minor league team, and
from LSU. Yeah.
And then the shortstop that's going to play second base for the Orioles, he's going to be on the Baltimore team, and they're going to showcase those two teams in the first game.
If you hear buzzing, that's somebody in one of my apartments that fries food and always sets off their smoke alarm, and our smoke alarms go off in the hallway. So it's March 14th through the 17th.
Yeah, I knew it was in March.
Yeah. So it's called 24 Spring Training, Arizona, Florida. MLB Spring Breakout is a 4-day event showcasing baseball's future. The current stars are minor league baseball. The inaugural edition will be held 14th and 17th. So that's pretty cool. Something to look forward to in spring training, because I'm not a big spring training watcher. I usually just read articles of who's doing what and who's showcasing and turning it up a little bit, who's being a surprise, who's going to make the big squad. If anybody surprises, they didn't always looking for injuries. I talked about it last week. The Mets their future second baseman got hurt in winter ball, and he's out for the year. That's one thing there that you always want to. That's the bad part of spring training is looking at the injury report, because somebody is going to get hurt. Edwin Diaz for the Mets last year, freak incident. Just
the Orioles are hurting, and I'll get into that in just a minute.
Well, go ahead with that.
Well, I mean, the other thing last week we were talking about the Cruz kid that Milwaukee's going to put at shortstop. And I said, wasn't there somebody that they got from Miami or somewhere to play shortstop Milwaukee? It was from Tampa. It was Willy Adames.
Yeah, Willy Adames, right.
And
but Adames he's one of those guys that can play several different positions.
Right, and they're going to put Cruz at shortstop and move him. Mm-hmm. So that's the plan. But it was Willy Adames. It drove me nuts because I could remember seeing the guy.
Yeah, he even could play some outfield if I remember correctly.
Right.
So.
Baltimore signed Ryan O'Hearn, their DH from last year, 1 year, $3.5 million. Kyle Bradish has a UCL sprain in his elbow, and he's going to be out for quite a while. So that hurts. That hurts the. John Means has a bad elbow, and he's going to start the season on IR. Their 19-year-old catching prospect, Samuel Basalio, who hit 330-something in the minors last year, has a stress fracture of his elbow, and he's going to be out. He did that in November, and he still can't throw. So, I mean, he's not tied to the major league, but there's another injury.
Well, that's the guy that's supposed to let Adley play first or DH.
First base eventually. But so their pitching is, I mean, that's two of their main people is Means and Bradish.
Right.
So they're hurting a little bit.
Right.
And Gunnar, the first day of practice, he strained an oblique, so he might be out for about a week.
Yeah,
that's
one of those things that you're going to hear a lot of obliques and hamstrings and calves and all that stuff this week, or for whole spring training.
Whit Merrifield signed with the Philadelphia Phillies. He's an outfielder, 1 year for $8 million.
I
Club
haven't heard
option.
that. I have not heard that. That's not a huge signing, but that gives them some flexibility out
It gives
there.
them depth.
Right. And Whit Merrifield was huge
In Toronto, he hit
in
a ton.
Toronto. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe Kansas City didn't try to keep him there, but I know they're trying to build from. But he was still young. I mean, and he has. I mean, I guess he's not young anymore. I take that back because he was on the South Carolina team that won the World Series with Jackie Bradley. So I guess he's not young. He's probably 30, 31, but he's in his prime. And I mean, that's a guy. I don't know how to go get a bat in his hand every day because that makes their outfield crowded a little bit because they're going to want Castellanos out there more times than not, and Brandon Marsh in center. Yeah, I guess he could play the other one. I guess I'm trying to think who was in left or in right field for him. Castellanos played a lot of right field.
And the other thing, Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball, is going to retire in January of 2029. So when he goes through this term, that'll be his last term, and he'll retire. He's also said that he would like the free agency period to be just a set period like it is in all the other major sports. And immediately, Boris and some of the other agents came flying, no, can't do that. Because then that kills the waiting game. When there's a deadline, the waiting game's over. I mean, as it is now, the free agency could last until September.
I was reading today or this week, not good news on the Pete Alonso front with the Mets. The Mets they're saying he's going to be a free agent after this season. So,
well, it depends because he came out the other day and said if he had his choice, he'd rather stay a Met. So, I mean,
he's not going to say anything.
But it depends on what he's going to ask for. I mean,
Boris is going to want him to go into the market,
right,
to play teams against each other. Soto's
his home runs. His home runs last year, RBIs and all were fantastic, but he hit 217.
Right, and
I don't care what anybody tells me. Batting average to me counts.
Right, and I don't see him doing that again this year, but we'll see. I don't know if that's a home runs and RBIs they can replace if he leaves.
Oh no, you don't replace that. It'd be like somebody like Judge leaving the Yankees. You don't replace that.
Yeah, that they don't have. That's part of the problem right now. They don't even have a mini version of him in the lineup. Yeah. Like they don't have a guy that you think is going to hit 20, 25 home runs in their lineup. So with Lindor he could, but I don't expect it. So that's part of their problem is they don't have that guy that can bat fifth behind him that scares you. So he was swinging at a lot of bad pitches last year to try to make something happen.
Well,
but I mean, I digress. I keep talking about my team, and we're supposed to talk about all.
Well, that's fine. I mean, we're talking about baseball.
Yeah. I mean, that's to be honest, I don't have a lot of time to sit down and watch everything, so I try to take in as much as I can. But the Mets are going to be the first on my list.
Well, the St. Louis Cardinals signed outfielder Randall Grichuk, 1 year, $2 million. So he's just plug and play. The other thing is the Acuna. He wants to renegotiate his contract. He's got 3 more years on his contract.
You're waiting for that.
But he said he wants Harper and Soto money because he had a better year than they did.
Of course. Everybody knew that was not smart on his part when he signed that original deal. and everybody was like, "Man, how did the Braves pull that off?" And I think it was a young player just seeing the dollar amount and not realizing how much more he probably could have got if he would have played out his original contract.
Well, I mean, look.
I mean, he's going to be a 40-40 guy for the next couple of years.
Yeah, and I don't blame him for what he's doing. But the contract he signed did not make him a pauper.
No.
That's the one thing. See, that's the one thing that players and the people that run these major sports, they don't quite understand. The John Q. public, like me, if I could sign a 10-year, $200 million contract, I'd sign it in a heartbeat. $200 million will last me if I live to be 147.
Probably 247.
But not close. But I mean, so it's not like he signed for trailer trash money. I mean, it's just that but I don't blame him for what he's doing. But the Braves said that if they have to do this, then they're going to lose people. Because if the other guys, because if they do it with him, then the other guys on that team that already signed the contracts going to renegotiate too and get their money. And if they do that, they said they can't keep all of them.
I don't know. Acuna is a special guy because he's going to be in MVP talk every year, as long as he doesn't get hurt. He's going to be in the MVP talk every year, and legitimately so. I mean, he is a top. I mean, I don't know where they listed him in the MLB 100 for 2024. I know that list came out on MLB Network, but he had to be a top 3 player. He had to be. He's a 5 tool. I don't know who else you're gonna. I mean, this guy can do it all. Haven't seen him not be able to do something yet.
Yeah. Now he has gotten hurt a couple of times.
Yeah, he that's what I said. So he better get it now because it might not be there 3 years from now. So I kind of understand, but I don't know if there are other guys on that team could say, I'm an Acuna guy. You know, maybe the first baseman after the hitting performance he put on last year, if you could put that back to back.
And they just signed Riley.
Yeah, and Riley, for whatever reason, he is not talked about more and more because I think he is right there with Arenado playing at third base and hits better than Arenado. So, I mean, he crushed that ball in the World Series. I mean, not in the World, in the playoffs last year. That's a team that just can't get it together when the money's on the table to take it.
They've been like that for a long time.
It looks like the 90s all over again to me. You can sit there and tell me that pitchers get hurt or whatever. I don't care. You got to get it together. Other teams are the same boat when it gets to that part of the year.
Well, like we talked, it was the week before last week. There's only one winner. There's only one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can ridicule these other managers and teams and all that all you want, but there's only one winner.
Right.
And so, I mean, it's just sometimes it's the luck of the draw. I mean, everybody's screaming about, the Orioles are going to be great this year. Well, not with all their pitching is hurt.
I don't know. I know Means is going to be like their 5th starter, or is their 5th starter. Bradish, he's got to be like
Bradish was number 2 behind Burns.
So he would have been. So Rodriguez is going to be 3. Okay.
But they're also. See, I got a little. I can look up the Baltimore stuff, and I look up the Baltimore stuff a lot. And,
you don't have much to look at in Washington right now.
Well, Washington, it's kids.
Yeah.
They talked about that on MLB. They said, they got one of the youngest teams in the league, and they're going to get younger by the kids they're bringing up through the system. In fact, they were talking about Skeens, and they were talking about 4 or 5 of the young kids that'll be playing in that Open or whatever it's called in March. And the right fielder they said was going to be a Washington kid from the Washington Nationals. To look out for this one outfielder, the one they got from LSU. He was number 2 pick last year. And he went into A-ball last year and hit like 340.
So it's actually called the Spring Breakout.
Spring Breakout, yeah. They'll probably put all the games on Peacock.
Because my understanding was each team has their own team.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was, because you just said.
Yes. No, but what they did, they picked. They were sitting on the MLB set, and they asked. I never remember his name. The white-haired guy that's the general manager used to be the general manager for the Mets, I think. Does his own radio show.
Oh, Phillips.
They asked him to put an all-star team together.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, and he had Skeens on the mound. He had this 19-year-old kid behind the plate for the Orioles.
Guess who Washington is playing? The Mets.
Oh, and then Washington. He had a kid from Washington in right field. The kid from 15th. LSU.
Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, because Baltimore plays on March 14th. And Brady's in Florida. Pittsburgh. March 14th is Cincinnati, Texas. Out in Arizona. I think these games are going to be probably MLB Network or ESPN.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't say what channel, but I probably I don't like it. So the 14th, there's only 2 games, but then on the 15th, there's 4 games. 16th, there's the 15th is 5 games. 16th is 6 games or 7 games. And then March 17th, there's only 2 games. So I don't know how that's going to work for television. So they'll probably pick a couple and then, or it might be on the MLB station, like the pay per, like I have. I pay for the MLB channel. The MLB, it gets confusing. MLB channel, not the cable channel, but the games, just like the NFL ticket. I get the MLB.
My only thought is that if they put it on a streaming service, that defeats the purpose.
Well, I think not a streaming. So MLB, a lot of times in the preseason, in the first week of the season, the MLB ticket is free, so anybody can watch it. So I don't think they'll put something like that on the streaming service, because there's going to be about 6 people that are not affiliated with TV that's fired up about it, and 2 of them are sitting right here. So, not a lot of people probably even know what's going on, but I'm sitting here. It looks like, I got Jackson Holiday on the screen, and I know the Mets have really good, like 9 guys that are really top notch. 4 of them was in the 100, or three of them were in the top 100 prospects. So I'm kind of, I really would like to see that game. The Mets and Orioles. Mets and Washington. I think that'll be intriguing.
Yeah, the Mets and Washington. I'm looking forward to Baltimore and Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. You'll probably see a better game from the Pittsburgh minor league squad than you will from their major league squad. They could probably take them on, play pretty well. So that's all exciting to watch. Any other moves there that you got notable?
No, the Texas Rangers have kind of backed off from Montgomery, because they just said they're not going to pay the price. They can't pay that price.
Well, I don't know who will at this point.
It looks like the most serious. Well, everybody's still saying, not everybody. I say everybody. That means nothing. People are saying that the Yankees are still in play for him and Snell, but it looks more and more like if Montgomery goes anywhere and gets anywhere near the money he's asking for, or Boras is asking for, it's going to be the Giants. And that's why Boras and the other, they don't want a cap or an ending on the free agency like they do in football and basketball and hockey and everything else. They want an open-ended so they can drag it out and still get their money.
Well,
because if you have free agents, if the teams could sit here with let's use the three guys. The three guys we got: Montgomery, Snell, and Bellinger. They're the three guys asking for all the money. If there's an end to the free agency period, the teams can just sit there and do this. Get to the last day and say, here, this is our offer, and then take it or leave it. Now,
I kind of feel like that's kind of what's going on right now, and it's a waiting out period. Because if I'm Baltimore, Baltimore, I might have to reach out, and go.
Yeah, but my point is, if there is a stopping point, after that point, they can't sign anybody.
I understand.
And that's what Boras is saying. No. It's got to be open-ended. I got to be able to drag this thing on to June if I have to, because I'm going to get my money.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to give these guys. I'm not going to let a guy I want $300 million for sign for $200 million.
Right.
I'm going to make the teams wait all the way till June, and they're desperate, and they're going to give me the $300 million. But if there's an end to it, the team said, this is our offer, and if you go past the day, you don't have a job. Go play in the KBO.
I understand. I think we understand what you're saying. My point is, I think that's the teams are kind of doing that right now because they don't have an endless amount of money. The Boras has to understand that sooner or later, if a team wants to win a championship, they can't give one player, like the Braves are saying they can't do with Acuna, a $300 million contract. And it don't matter if you pay it now or 10 years from now or 20 years from now, you got to pay it somewhere. The bill has got to be paid. So these teams understand, I'd rather have, it's kind of a pinch of that Oakland A's old school where, okay, Snell pitched and got how many games with how many, we'll get 3 of those guys to add up to that one. I'd rather do that and pay money that way and have 3 starters than I would with one guy that's one pitch away from his elbow blowing out. That's the problem with pitchers. And
on a long-term contract.
Yeah, or a long-term contract. I think a lot of people saw what happened to the Mets this past few years, and they're like, I don't want. Yeah, or Strasburg. I don't want to be in that situation. Now, if it's a guy that plays in the field, that's a different story. That's different. I don't know if you do that for a DH, but a guy that plays every day, that's a different story. But a pitcher, not only does he only play every 5th day, but he's always that one pitch away from being his last pitch, or at least for a year and a half. So that's my thing with his problem with Snell and Montgomery. And I'm sorry, Snell's had issues. Yes, he's won 2 Cy Youngs now.
Yes.
So I think last year proved how bad pitching was because yes, he was very good, but I don't think he was dominant. When you think of a Cy Young pitcher, Snell does not pop in my brain.
He was nowhere near as good as Garrett Cole.
Right. He was not Garrett Cole, nowhere close. It was so lopsided in the 2 division winners. Garrett Cole's had seasons where he kind of maybe got screwed or other years would have won it. but he won it now, and Snell's won it twice in a year where pitching wasn't all that great in the National League. And Montgomery had a season of his. He didn't pitch like that when he played with the Yankees. There's a reason why Montgomery ain't making the money he's asking for now, is because he's not done it before. Everybody's been waiting for him to pitch like that, but again, he wasn't a Cy Young winner. He was World Series.
Well, and let's face it, he had his biggest
playoffs and
success in the postseason.
Right.
You look at the body of work for the regular season, he was just an average pitcher.
He's Bumgarner. Bumgarner was one of the greatest pitchers in playoff history. But regular season, he's not there. He's not. He was two different pitchers. So, I understand why you got to go after the money, but I think the financial side of things are starting to change just a little bit in baseball. I think we might have hit the ceiling a little bit.
But you can only raise the parking, the concessions, and the ticket prices so much to pay these contracts. Because let's face it, folks, those owners are billionaires for a reason. They don't lose money.
Right. Now the Dodgers did it by putting the bill off for 20 years or whatever. But it's going to come. They're going to have to pay it sometime, and it's just not. You talked about 8 teams that are kind of, yes, they got a 1-year TV contract. They're in limbo. Nobody kind of knows with streaming services which direction is going for MLB. It's and you start looking at the free agent market of next year, and you don't know if you want to overpay for somebody this year, Bellinger, that had one good year, or do you want to wait for somebody next year that deserves that money? Like guys we were talking about, Soto, Pete Alonso. There's other guys coming out. Next year is going to be better than this year. This year's kind of pedestrian. But, I just don't. I think they're kind of waiting. And I think Boris is trying to get as much as he can out of that rock as he can get. And I don't blame him for that. But if I was a player, if I was a player and I can be out there practicing right now, they're hurting their future by not practicing right now. They can tell me all they are that they're going to their local high school and doing tosses with the whatever, or colleges or whatever, and throwing, but it's not the same. You're not in the same atmosphere. You're not with the guys. You're not forming a camaraderie. You're not going to, especially two pitchers, you're not going to sign a contract on Friday and pitch at a game on Monday. It's just not going to happen. So they need to get their butts out there. Bellinger a little bit different. Hitters a little bit different. But again, he could be taking all the soft tosses or whatever that he wants, but he's not playing in preseason games. He's not getting his batter's eye. So they need to get out there. Anything else?
No, I don't have anything. I mean, unless we have any signings this week for the big bunch, I think a lot of it's kind of dried up. I mean, because I did see a lot of people going on minor league contracts being invited to spring training, but the rosters are pretty much set. I'm just a little worried about Baltimore's injuries to their pitchers.
Well, it's better to have them now than July 20th. Yeah. So
you're getting hurt in July and you're out for the year. Wow.
Yeah. But they'll make some moves. They do have another pitcher in their minors. I can't think of his name, and I thought they were going to try to push him off till next year, but might be time to burn off.
They're talking about there's some other people. They don't have to sign the big two.
Right.
They can sign Lorenzen. They can sign, I think his name's Ryu, who's out on the open market. There was a Korean guy that used to pitch for.
Ryu is blackballed. He's not going to get signed.
Okay, so but they're talking about Lorenzen, and there was
He's had
somebody
two
else.
domestic. If it's the left-handed pitcher for the
No,
Dodgers.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
Okay.
there was a guy. There was a Korean guy that pitched for Toronto a couple of years ago,
Okay.
and he's
Oh, I
on.
was thinking of Urias. Never mind, not Ryu. I know who Ryu. I know who you're talking about from Toronto.
Yeah, and so they're thinking about. He's got a little age on and all that, but they're thinking about looking at him, looking to see what they can offer Lorenzen. And there was one other guy, I can't think of his name right now. And the Boston Red Sox are talking about signing Greinke. He can't even throw the ball 62 miles an hour anymore. It looks like slow pitch softball. And they're talking about signing him.
I don't know what's really going on at Boston. That team really intrigues me. They're kind of acting like a broke team. Like, I don't know if they're just trying to get draft picks now and trying to win that way. I don't know you're in the toughest division in baseball. You cannot play like this. You just can't do this. You would have been better off with some of those trades getting younger people than you were doing what they did. I mean, they got the Betts trade was horrible. You know, they just, I don't know. You got to go and get some talent. Fill up your. Maybe they are. I don't know. I haven't looked at anybody's minor league systems this year to see where they're ranked or whatever. So, but I can't figure out the direction of Boston. But that's fine with me too. I don't. Beautiful stadium, love to go there, but don't care about the team. If you got anything else, Dad, to finish off the day, but
no, that's it.
Want to thank everybody for watching again, and this preseason. Not a whole lot to talk about, but man, we could get me and my dad could bring up one subject like you saw today and rattle for 30 minutes on it. So love talking about it. If anybody has any thoughts or ideas, please leave them in the comments below. Until next time, see ya.